But the other point of outrage in Washington today was the arraignment of Trump's former FBI chief turned enemy, James Comey. At Trump's command, Comey has been indicted on charges related to authorizing a leak of classified information, even though investigators found insufficient evidence that he leaked classified information. And the prosecution's lead witness says he never leaked classified information. Other than that, though, lock him up.
Trying to tell the public we're in a massive misinformation campaign. The president himself tweeting out AI videos of fake news reports on healthcare. This is really dangerous and it's really hard. And I cannot express to you the concern and the absolute bafflement and fear of our European allies asking me, is this stuff really going?
The funny thing about power is how loudly it talks when it starts running out of things to say. Trump calls it leadership. Kimmel calls it performance art with a teleprompter that never learned punctuation. Walz just watches like a teacher grading a blank page proudly titled innovation. It's almost poetic. The louder the speech, the emptier the sentence. Somewhere between policy and improved America ended up with a reality show president who still believes every scandal is just another episode's cliffhanger and every headline is a ratings boost. The script never changes, only the cast of critics.
Trump wants that Nobel Prize so bad. I've seen a lot of Oscar and Emmy campaigns, but no one has ever vied for an award more vigorously than our Dalai Lama.
Obama got a Nobel Peace Prize. He didn't do anything. They gave it to Obama for doing absolutely nothing. He got the Nobel Prize for doing nothing. They should give me the Nobel Prize. Everyone says that I should get the...
And I am going to challenge him. I mean, my God, we've got the White House threatening investigations in jail time because an escalator stopped. Walk up the damn stairs. This stuff happens. This is life. Do not normalize this.
Kimmel begins where every Trump story does, with a declaration so grand it dares the laws of physics to disagree. The economy's perfect. The borders are strong. The world is jealous. And if the facts don't match, that's not the slogan's fault, that's a facts problem. Walz shakes his head. He's seen confidence before, but never the kind that thrives in a storm of contradiction. For a man who claims to have built empires, Trump's biggest construction project may be the scaffolding that props up his own mythology. Every success is magnified, every flaw rebranded as strategy. The blueprint isn't policy, it's persuasion.
The president using the Department of Justice to prosecute people he doesn't like is very concerning, especially if, personally speaking, you are one of the people he doesn't like. No one makes enemies like Donald Trump. He even has a problem with the QAnon shaman now. Remember the guy in the horns who stormed the Capitol? Well, he's doing great, first of all, but he's suing his beloved president.
Every week brings a new crisis, and every crisis gets the same cure: a press conference and a promise that no one else could possibly handle it better. Kimmel jokes that the real infrastructure project might be the one repairing the holes in the president's story. The speeches talk about rebuilding roads, but the real work seems to be rebuilding timelines. Walz can't tell if it's audacity or pure optimism watching a man rename chaos as momentum and call it modernization. The show must go on even if the stage is collapsing behind the curtain.
That's the Nobel Prize. I was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize. I got the Nobel Peace Prize nomination. I got nominated for the Nobel Prize. Where's my Nobel Peace Prize they don't talk about? A Peace Prize Nobel nomination, and they didn't cover it. And I don't care, but I'm not looking for it. I'm not politicking for it. I'm just saying that there's a lot of unfairness in this world.
Yeah, well, you know what? No one has suffered more unfairness.
There's an art to claiming credit, and Trump turned it into a full-time brand. The sun rises. That's leadership. The stock market moves. Genius. A bill passes without him. Clearly his influence. Even when a hurricane changes course, he'll call it strategic weather management. Walz laughs under his breath, the kind of laugh people use when words have stopped working. Kimmel adds that this is what happens when a businessman enters democracy expecting a refund policy. Every success is his, every setback a conspiracy, and the line between confidence and delusion is now just a slogan.
Trump administration will start firing workers instead of furloughing them, and do you think they might target workers in blue states?
I do. I think it goes back to this question, Tom, that it appears like they're trying to do that. The disruption is there. The willingness of the Speaker of the House to blame. I have seen Fox News even correct this issue, that trying to tell the public we're in a massive misinformation campaign. The president himself tweeting out AI videos of fake news.
The man shakes hands like he's signing a trademark deal. Kimmel says diplomacy under Trump feels like a dating show where everyone's pretending they're still in control. Dramatic exits, surprise reconciliations, and a promise that next week's episode will fix everything. Walz compares it to coaching Little League with a player who insists the scoreboard is rigged because he doesn't like the numbers. The absurdity writes itself, except it's real policy with real stakes wrapped in primetime theatrics.
And why are you suing Donald Trump?
Because he's out of his ding-dong diddly mind. The guy, he's not mentally fit to be president.
But he pardoned you. He gave you a full pardon.
Ipso facto. Does that sound like a guy making rational decisions? I mean, I'm wearing horns and whacking it at the library.
Okay, but...
Beneath the comedy, the machinery still grinds. Agencies scramble to translate tweets into directives. Staffers study his expressions like historians decoding ancient symbols. Kimmel imagines the morning briefings applause confusion and PowerPoint slides explaining why yesterday's statement is no longer valid. Walz the realist wonders how long a government can run on improvisation before it runs out of breath. Trump believes every word conviction makes it true. Say it loud enough, say it often enough, and the universe will fall in line. Kimmel calls it wishful legislation. Walz calls it leadership through repetition. Somewhere between the two, America just calls it Tuesday. The rallies never ended, they simply changed their backdrop.
He's had it hard, guys. He's had it really hard. He claims he's not politicking for the Peace Prize, which must be why the White House posted this very subtle message calling him the Peace President. The Peace President is sending a platoon to invade a yoga studio in Portland right now. This is all you need to know about how we're being perceived around the world. Norway braces for Trump's reaction if he does not win the Nobel.
Walz notes the irony the man promising greatness keeps describing a country that apparently lost it the day he turned on cable news. Patriotism has become merchandise, pride a marketing tool. The economy is his favorite, trophy numbers up, personal victory numbers down, deep state sabotage. Kimmel says it's like watching someone grade their own report card in crayon. Walz adds that true strength isn't pretending everything's perfect, it's admitting when it's not. But introspection isn't part of the brand. Statistics become seasoning sprinkled only when they taste good. Kimmel jokes that a man who builds towers shouldn't be so surprised by rising sea levels. Walz calls it selective foresight. A crisis only becomes real once it reaches the golf course.
He negotiated the damn trade deal with them. If trade is so bad with Canada, he was the guy who signed the deal. It defies logic. But look, I think this is how he ran business. He stiffed contractors. He stiffed workers. He doesn't pay his bills. He declares bankruptcy. The one thing is, his claim that he's the business president, he is the worst possible business executive that I have ever.
Kimmel points out it's the only administration where science had to pass a loyalty test. Walz says it's like watching a doctor argue with his own thermometer. The pandemic didn't break the system, it revealed how fragile the illusion of control really was. Tweets became decrees, and every correction an act of betrayal. Kimmel calls it governance by autocorrect. Walz calls it running a country on bumper stickers. Outrage fatigue set in scandals, lost suspense, and distraction became the perfect defense. When everything's dramatic, nothing's accountable. And yet somehow the performance never ends.
The Senate Judiciary Committee was at work today hearing testimony from Trump's Attorney General, Pam Bondi. Bondi refused to deny that border czar Tom Homan was seen accepting $50,000 in cash in a paper bag at a Cava restaurant. He hasn't even denied this either. How crazy is it? $50,000 in a bag. The FBI got it on tape. He's still running the border. He's still in charge of rounding up illegals. Hey, Tom, if you're looking for illegals, we found one living in your house.
Cabinet meetings now feel like sitcom boardrooms. Everyone claps, no one dares leave first. Kimmel says it's like employees complimenting the chef while the kitchen burns. Walz reminds him that real leadership isn't about demanding praise but earning it when no one's watching. Yet in this White House visibility is currency and inflation's off the charts. Beneath the punchlines the damage remains, policies still shape lives, rhetoric still divides neighbors, confusion still costs time. Kimmel knows the laughter only works because the consequences don't. Walz nods, realizing that satire can't fix a system, it can only show how absurd it's become.
The government of Norway is scared he might punish them, that he might declare them an enemy for not giving him the Nobel Peace Prize. Give me that Peace Prize or I'll stick it up your Aurora Borealis. No president has ever been more committed to peace, and he's arresting all the rabble-rousers to prove it.
We have arrested dozens of individuals that are Antifa members or affiliated with them, and I want to thank our Attorney General for prosecuting them and making sure they never see the light of day again.
That's just the Secretary of Homeland Security suggesting we lock up American protesters for life.
Somewhere inside it all is the myth of self-made strength that being loud means being right. Kimmel calls it the gospel of confidence without content. Walz calls it emotional economics, invest enough belief and the ego's stock never falls. But markets always crash. Eventually the campaign that never ended becomes its own rerun. Every appearance doubles as an ad, every statement a product pitch. Kimmel says democracy was never meant to be binge-watched, yet here we are governing through entertainment. Chaos sells airtime, confusion drives clicks, and outrage keeps the lights on. Walz sighs, knowing the difference between the actor and the role disappeared long ago.
Comey faces up to 5 years in prison. Today he pleaded not guilty, and the prosecutor in the case is a Trump favorite. Former Miss Colorado third runner-up Lindsay Halligan, who has no experience in prosecution at all. There she is. She was an insurance lawyer, but she's very good-looking. Trump picks his lawyers like he's casting a reboot of Suits. They brought Lindsay in at the last minute because the first prosecutor, who himself had been appointed by Trump to the U.S. Attorney's Office 4 months ago, refused to take the case because of a lack of evidence, and also because if you prosecute someone for vindictive reasons, you could lose your license to practice. And in Lindsay Halligan's case, you could even lose your beauty.
Walz says that's what happens when performance replaces purpose. It's not lying, it's living inside the story. Every flash feels like destiny, every headline like divine proof. Kimmel calls it a feedback loop of self-confidence, applause bouncing endlessly off mirrored walls. They don't destroy him with insults, they dismantle him with perspective. Their humor cuts not from cruelty but from clarity, the kind of truth that laughs before it cries. Because at some point fatigue replaces fury and the joke stops being funny once it starts being normal.
I gotta tell you, pointing out just an observation of mine that I made, I just have to say it. You know it, you feel it. These guys are creepy, and yes, just weird as hell. That's what you see. That's what you see.
Look, I get it. You get up in the morning and you doom scroll through things, and although I will say this, the last few days you woke up thinking there might be news. Just saying. There will be news sometime. Just so you know, there will be news.
Kimmel muses that history won't remember what this presidency built, only how loudly it declared itself unbreakable while everything cracked. Walz imagines future students studying this era like a masterclass in confidence gone rogue. Tweets will read like telegrams from a time when attention was mistaken for respect. The image remains a man performing for a crowd that's already gone home. Kimmel doesn't need a punchline, Walz doesn't need a lecture. The scene explains itself. The lights are dim, the camera's off, but Trump still rehearses lines from a show that reality already cancelled. The slogans are echoes, the promises reruns, and yet he still hears applause no one's giving.